Good morning, everybody. It is Recovery Tuesday. Oh, man. What an amazing game. Nothing clever to say. Let's talk about Lions football.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
Only do that if you're telling the official you're reporting.
The Lions hangover. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in on your radio dials to the Lions Hangover podcast. That's exactly what this is. A hangover now, but a happy hangover. Let's call it that. Happy Hangover Tuesday. I like the sound of that. I am your luxurious host, Brad. Don't forget to find me on all social medias, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm feeling a little bit more mentally sharp after a good night of sleep. Oh, man. Getting home late last night after that Lions game. I think I finally crawled into bed right around 2 a.m. Lions win 42-29 over the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, but before we dive into it, I almost forgot. I'm getting good at remembering this stuff. You know, I'm getting into my routine and my rhythm. Please rate and subscribe wherever you hear this podcast. Please, 5 stars. Leave a little comment, you know, and I'll take a negative comment for a 5-star review. I don't care. Get creative, get funny. You know, that's all I care about. Like, make me laugh, even if it's, you know, negative. I have thick skin. I don't sit in my room and cry at night anymore. Yeah, holy cow, Lions. It was 42-29, and I want to say it was a dominating performance, but it was close at times. Being at the game last night, though, there were, you know, when Seattle had it within a touchdown late in the game, it never really felt like, to me, it was out of the Lions' hands. I just felt like we were able to do what we want whenever we wanted, minus 2 drives, I think. I was kind of unhappy with some play calling there at the end of the first half and the clock management. Penalties. Holy cow, talk about some penalties in the game. You know, I think Terrion Arnold has a bad rap in the league right now as being handsy. I don't feel like he's a liability, though, and I feel like some of these penalties were not deserved. I feel like Seattle, and penalties were not the story of it. Well, they kind of were. They were like the sub-story of the game because, I mean, and we'll get into the stats, but holy cow, there were so many penalties on Detroit when there should have been just as many penalties on Seattle. There was a pass interference that they didn't call. I think that was in the second half of the game. I think it was Metcalf. Perhaps, was it on that 2-point conversion? I don't know. And that was weird, too, because at the stadium, we weren't convinced there was a touchdown, you know, and then they were going for 2. Why did Seattle go for 2? That was just confusing. Sorry, I'm just organizing my thoughts right now as I speak. I thought Kenneth Walker played really well. I thought, you know, for having an amazing run defense that the Lions have, I thought Kenneth Walker, he had a tremendous amount of speed. Tough dude, tough runner. He only ended up getting like 80 yards or something like that. So I'm happy the Lions did not give up the century mark against yet another running back, although I do think as a team they were over 100 yards. Again, we will get into that in a little bit. Offensively, you cannot get more perfect than Jared Goff. He did have that one incomplete pass, but there was a penalty flag on it, so that incompletion did not count. So Jared Goff threw a perfect game. A perfect game. He caught a perfect game. And, you know, everybody's giving Goff credit, which they should, but nobody's giving Amon-Ra St. Brown enough credit as a quarterback. That was an amazing throw by St. Brown. Goff had to do very little to catch that ball. It was amazing. And yes, Amon-Ra St. Brown hit Goff in stride. Oh, man. Now, I'm not taking anything away with Goff. He went 18 for 18. This is an NFL record. Most attempts, most completions in a game. An NFL record belongs to Jared Goff. I've been waiting for one of these NFL records to belong to us. Hopefully this one stands for a while, but he did have an easy day. He didn't throw the ball deep. The biggest pass was like 12 yards or something like that. Not including the Geno runs after the catch. I know that gets credit for the passing yards, but yeah, it's not like Goff threw, heaved it in the air too much. And I kind of missed that last night too. I love it when they go deep. That's what she said. Man, Gibbs, Montgomery, those dudes, amazing, freaking amazing. I love Gibbs and Montgomery, the best running back duo in the NFL. And if you take one of them away, there's still a top 5 running back in the NFL. Both of them are electric. Both of them are amazing. I did not like on that third play call, I think this was at the end of that first half, that they decided to throw the pitch out to Montgomery, and they only needed like a yard or less than a yard for a first down. And they throw the pitch out. I'm just nitpicking. It was an amazing game, and I had fun, and the Lions played great. But I'm just thinking about, it's easy to, the memories in your head, the first things that come to mind are, okay, where can we improve at? Obviously, you got to clean up the penalties. But yeah, the pitch out to Montgomery. First of all, Montgomery's not the outside runner. Gibbs is. Montgomery's the up the middle guy. Second, you need a yard. If you're pitching out, you are adding an extra 8 to 9 yards to this run. Why are you doing that? Why are you running, horizontally when you need to be running vertically? Why are you adding extra yards on the field? It changes, especially on a third down. That made no sense to me. But, Ben Johnson, of course, he makes it up with that, what do they call it? The Philly special, the Amon-Ra St. Brown pass, the Philly special. Montgomery had that powerful run, though. Right when I was in the bathroom, too, I was peeing. But I heard Dan Miller call it from the stall. They really need to get some TVs in the bathroom. Would that kill them? Would that kill them to get some TVs in the bathroom? There's always a long line in the men's bathroom. Give us some TVs to watch inside the bathroom. Nothing huge, 42-inch, like two of them. That's all we need. When they ask for my survey of how they did, I'm going to write that up. What else, man? Jesus. What an amazing game. And the defense, while they did not, the defensive front played amazing. I thought the front seven were amazing. I loved Anzalone's hustle. He looked great after his concussion. I'm sure we missed Brian Branch a little bit. Terrion Arnold, he's getting called for these penalties, and I think you could take half of them away, honestly. Levi Onwuzurike, he had that personal foul roughing the passer. At first glance, I thought it was, a horrible call. I was like, dude, that's just football. Like, he was within a step and a half. But when I saw the replay, he did take Geno Smith down to the ground pretty solid, and then his amazing acting job afterward. It was kind of comedic, but he's just trying to draw that other penalty. He's got to act a little bit better, though, if he thinks he's going to win an Oscar. Geno Smith did light us up in the air. He was definitely bailed out a few times with the PI calls, and they were able to run the ball. But ultimately, the Lions held them to 29 points, and you think, well, they still gave up 29 points. This is just the way it goes between these two teams, apparently. This is our identity, and it was really fun. When when Seattle scored, and then the Lions came right back. Let's see, where is it? When Kenneth Walker scored that 1-yard touchdown, and it brought, the first time, it brought Seattle to within, 8 points because they went for 2, which is stupid. And then the very next play was the Jameson Williams 70-yard pass from Jared Goff. It was fun because it was just such back and forth, and then Kenneth Walker gets his second touchdown on a 21-yard run. Again, he had an amazing day. When he was trying to be tackled and then he kind of like ninja moved, he like rolled over one way and then he forcefully flipped over to his feet the other way and he gained another 5 yards. That was insane. That was amazing. Kenneth Walker, he's a special dude, and he ran all over Michigan when he played for Michigan State. So, I remembered him. I thought he was going to be big his first year. It took him a while to get him going. You can go back and listen to that podcast if you want. But I did say I was expecting big things from him. And I think he's, having an early start to his young career right now. But I'm not trading Montgomery or Gibbs or anything. It's not every day we get to see, a really good opposing running back. There's days where maybe the defense doesn't play up to par, but it's not like the opposing running back earns it. This dude, Kenneth Walker, he was fast and he was a strong runner. And, I just appreciated the good game. I appreciated the competition, It was fun to watch, especially since we came out on top. If we lost that game, I would be pissed, about how Kenneth Walker kind of ran all over us. But I'm okay with it now. But yeah, and then he got that, I think it was the second touchdown. And then that was, Amon-Ra St. Brown had that toe tapper, to give us 42. And then, I do want to talk about that sack in the end zone too. Jared Goff gave up the safety. It is so hard at the game to see if it was a safety or not. But I have to say, 66,000 people inside the stadium didn't think it was a safety. So, but, I know they replayed it, so we're probably wrong, and we don't get the knowledge that the commentators have, and we didn't even know they were looking at it because that was the 2-minute warning. So when they just come back from the 2-minute warning, and then they're like, oh, hey, there was a safety after, looking at it again. I wonder if that's something where Mike McDaniels would have had to have thrown the red flag if it happened before the 2-minute warning. Or if that just would have been an automatic booth review. But I think because it dropped below the 2-minute warning, it dropped into the automatic booth review scenarios. What an electric game, though. Wow. Jared Goff with the record. Okay, so let's get into stats. Geno Smith, the offense really lit us up. Seattle's offense. Geno Smith, another amazing day, 38 of 56 for 395 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And honestly, I felt like we could have had more interceptions. I could just tell by the way that Geno Smith was throwing the ball. I was like, we're going to get an interception, and I'm surprised it wasn't more than one. I know they had a few turnovers, a couple fumbles too. But I thought for sure there could have been more interceptions. Just the way he was throwing the ball. It would have been amazing if Aleem McNeil, he had that deflected pass. It would have been awesome if the big guy caught that and started rumbling down the field, He was sacked 3 times, and his quarterback rating was 86.5. Kenneth Walker, 12 carries, 80 yards. Yep, there you go. Geno Smith, 5 carries, 38 yards. I said we needed to get him under 30, I think is what I said in the preview episode. And then Zach Charbonnet, 2 carries, 15 yards. I don't remember him having that. I mean, he only had 2 catches, but that's pretty good run average. Overall, 19 carries for 133 yards. So not the best overall run defense performance, but I think if you look at individual targets and you think to yourself, we need to hold these guys under a certain amount of yards, I think individually, for the most part, not Geno Smith and definitely not Zach Charbonnet, because you don't want their backup dude getting 15 yards on 2 carries. That's kind of crap. But I think you'd be happy overall holding Kenneth Walker the third to 80 yards or less. I think that's good. He's got 3 touchdowns. You don't really care for that. But, yeah. And Geno Smith, a little bit more than you'd like to see him have. DK Metcalf, though, 7 catches for 104 yards. His longest was 29. Tyler Lockett, 5 catches for 61 yards. 29 yards is his long. Jackson Smith Njigba, I don't know how to say his name, 8 catches, led the team with 8 receptions, 51 yards. His longest was 11, though. He did help me out in my fantasy points, but I would have, look, I always root for the Lions to win over my fantasy team, so don't worry about that. Metcalf did have that fumble. He lost it. Yeah, didn't Geno Smith have a fumble too? It's not listed in the Seattle fumbles. I thought for sure Geno Smith. I thought there were 2 fumbles and 1 interception. Oh, you know what? Geno Smith fumbled a few times, but I think they recovered it. No, they're not even listing it as a fumble. All right, sorry. I'm confused here. Tyler Dotson, defensively, 10 tackles, 5 solo. Let's see. Jaron Reed, 1 sack. Derek Hall, 1 sack. Draymond Jones, 1 sack. So they had 3 sacks against us. Overall, though, I still feel like the Lions' offensive line did a good job. You know, they're without Frank Ragnow. They had to move Glasgow over. You know, they had to move Awasika to the guard position. You know, like this. Excuse me. You know, you don't. I mean, 3 sacks sucks, but I do want to talk about the horse collar tackle too. What difference does it make if he's in the pocket or not? Horse collar is a horse collar. You know. Like, it shouldn't matter that, since he's in the pocket, it's legal to just grab him and throw him down, not by his neck, but his neck area. Like, it just seems weak. Either it should be okay all the time or a penalty all the time. It should not matter where you are in the field, you know, that could justify, you know, like, okay, no, this is okay, you know, here, but not over here. I don't like that. I don't like that, guys. Sheesh. Lions. Jared Goff, like we said, 18 for 18, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 1 for 1. 1 touchdown. Look at these QB ratings here. Jared Goff. This is a perfect QB rating. What's the little guy's name? I keep forgetting his name. All right, I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to embarrass myself and ask Google. Hey, Google, who's the quarter? Wait, never mind, Google. I just remembered Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had that, quote, perfect quarterback rating. This is a perfect quarterback rating. Jared Goff, 155.8. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 135.4. Not bad. Not bad, St. Brown. You're hanging in there. Jahmyr Gibbs ran the ball 14 times for 78 yards. I love it. 2 touchdowns. Love it. David Montgomery, 12 carries, 40 yards. Love it. This is good distribution. I don't care what anybody says. He had 1 touchdown. Like, they made a difference. You know, I don't care how many yards you get. You're getting touchdowns, and you know, you're making an impact when they give you the ball. It's amazing. Jameson Williams only had 2 catches, but of course his longest was 70 yards. That electric touchdown. Laporta, he had some energy today. I love seeing it. I wish he scored a touchdown. He would have made me a few bucks. You know, I picked 3 guys from the Lions to score touchdowns, and I did different combinations of that. But Laporta was the one where I was like, this dude is getting a touchdown. He came close a couple times. He had some big receptions. His longest was 30 yards. I really thought he was going to do it there. And I have to say, he's looking leaner to me. I don't know what it is, but he's looking like a wide receiver almost. He didn't look as bulky. Maybe it's the black. Maybe the black hides the fat. But the black jerseys did look pretty sharp. I did like them. They had that theme going the entire time at Ford Field. They changed the paint scheme in the end zones. They changed all of the font and the graphics on the scoreboards. They changed the wall along the field on the outside to the black. It was like a blackout. It was pretty sweet. But yeah, Laporta, 4 catches, 53 yards. This is right where you want him. You just want him to have a touchdown. Tim Patrick, again, small role on the team, but the dude is coming up big with some catches. I like him. I like Patrick. He had 2 catches for 52 yards, his longest being 29. St. Brown led the team in receptions with 6, but only 45 yards. I'm okay with that because he also got a touchdown. Montgomery, 1 catch, 40 yards. That's the one where he ran dudes over, man. I'm surprised he's not in concussion protocol. Brock Wright had 2 catches. I like Brock Wright. He's a good number 2 tight end. You know, I'm a big Brock Wright fan. Khalif Raymond, 1 catch for 9 yards, and Jared Goff, he had the 1 catch for 7 yards. Carlton Davis had 1 fumble recovery, so he's the one that got the fumble from DK Metcalf. Defensively, Kirby Joseph and Amik Robertson. Holy cow, the defensive backs. Total tap, but I think that probably shows, you know, the passing game that Seattle had. Kirby Joseph led the team with 9 total tackles. Amik Robertson, 8 total tackles. Jack Campbell, 7 tackles. Anzalone, 7. Carlton Davis, the third, 7 tackles. Brandon Joseph, 6 tackles. Where's my man at? Who got the sacks? Hutch did not get a sack. I thought I heard he did. Okay, DJ Reader had 1 sack. Aleem McNeil had half a sack. He shared that with Onzarike. And Malcolm Rodriguez, he had the sack. I thought he did. I love seeing Rodriguez out there, man. I know he's like the 5th or 6th round pick, a couple years ago, but I love seeing him out there. I'm happy he's on the team because there's a few times when you thought maybe this is it for him, But they've figured out a way to keep him, and he's contributing. Sometimes he plays the fullback position, sometimes he's back in the linebacker position, but he's out there ready to go, and he's a cool dude, man. Oh, I also have to say Kirby Joseph did the backflip or front flip again in the introduction, and it's like he didn't do it for a while, and you kind of worry, like, did the Lions tell him not to do it anymore because we don't want you to accidentally tear your ACL or MCL or Achilles or anything like that? But, yeah, no, he did it. It was good to see, but there was lots of fog around him. Jake Bates never had a field goal attempt, but he did go 6 for 6 with the extra points. Jack Fox punted 3 times, his longest being 50. Not once was he inside the 20 this week, though. It doesn't matter. We still love Jack Fox. He gets a bye week. We don't want our punter to contribute, right? Like, we're not hoping for, but when he does, like, we want him to be inside the 20, but it's not like we're like, yeah, let's see the punter. Nobody wants to see the punter, but we're always happy to have him. Oh, man. Team stats. Let's find these penalties. This is what I want to find. Let's see. First downs. Seattle had 38 first downs. Lions had 21. Total plays, though. Seattle ran 78 offensive plays. Lions only had 50 total yards. Seattle had 516. Lions only had 389. So actually statistically, yards, a quiet offensive production day, but just executed to perfection, And when you execute so perfectly in such key moments, it's like less is more. Like that's what that is. Less is more. We didn't have to do any more than that, but if we did, we would have, Red zone. Seattle was 3 of 4. The Lions were 5 of 5. Okay, now penalties. This actually, I'm happy I see this because this looks more like an even story, but it just feels like we got ripped off a little bit more because most of ours were pass interference calls. The Seahawks had 9 penalties for 70 yards, and I still mean it. They probably could have they missed some holding calls on their offensive line. There were a lot of times you could see Hutch. Why are they just not watching Hutch all the time? He's getting held a lot, and easily 2 times you could have called them for holding on Hutch, right? Easily. And then there was the pass interference call. I think it was DK Metcalf on Carlton Davis III in the end zone. Like, clearly he was interfered with. And Davis, I'm pretty sure it was Davis. He was just going for the ball. He was the wide receiver, and DK Metcalf was on his back, pushing him down to the ground before the ball even got there. The Lions, though, 12 penalties for 101 yards. This is horrible. Now, national TV, maybe the refs were just happy to be getting the TV time. Who knows? But either way, 21 penalties in the game between the two teams. 171 yards between the two teams. Just call the blatant stuff. You got to let them go. You got to let them play, man. If it's deciding the outcome of the game, you need to be a bit more judgy on when you throw the call because it's an unfair advantage one way or the other. It just I don't like when the refs are worried about how much time they get to be on TV. And it just seemed that way. There were so many penalties, and I don't think it was that dirty of a game. You could take it. I'm not saying the Lions are not guilty of pass interference calls, but you have to call it evenly across the two teams. You cannot deny that there was some offensive pass interference, possibly on 2 plays, because there was another time when the Lions, I feel like were interfered with, and they called it PI on us. The refs need to do a better job of being consistent, and the Lions need to do a better job of of cleaning up their game, not being so handsy. But again, I don't feel like they're being overly handsy. I think they're just playing good defense, and they're getting called. I love Terrion Arnold. I don't feel like he's Jeff Okudah, you know? I feel like he is contributing. I think he's just being crapped on by the refs. So hopefully they figure something out, and he like, is there a memo passed around the league or something? Just keep calling this dude for PI. Attendance, though, 66,658 people walked through the gates at Ford Field. I believe it. It was a Calvin Johnson night. It was fun seeing him. It was fun seeing all of the Lions alumni. Johnny Morton was there. I can't believe Johnny Morton was there. That's pretty cool. He never even played with Megatron. So I was surprised to see him there. I love Johnny Morton. But I guess it's just part of the Lions alumni program. You know, maybe it was just really cool. They had over 100 Lions alumni there. I do want to, just a little note. I feel like they did a congratulations video to Calvin Johnson, and I feel like one person was missing from the video, and he was just in town a couple weeks ago when they were probably putting this together. Can you not have Matt Stafford say, hey, buddy, congratulations. We had some good days. I'm proud of you. You deserve this. I would have loved that, and I feel like the fans would have cheered. Nobody would have booed Matt Stafford. That would have been amazing to see him on the video. You know, it's like we don't like Matt Stafford now because he plays for a different team, but we would love him when his career is over and he wants to reflect on his days here in Detroit. Like, you can't deny the success we had, even though we never made it, over that hump with him, but it wasn't his fault, It would have been cool to see Matt Stafford on that video giving congratulations, and extend that even further. Not just Matt Stafford, but maybe other people around the league during Calvin Johnson's tenure in the NFL. And the thing I was kind of oblivious to, I thought Calvin Johnson also played 10 years. He only played 8 years. I did not know that. But it doesn't matter. Congratulations to him, closing it up here. So I just want to give my props to Calvin Johnson. It was nice to see him at the stadium. It was a good tribute. His name is forever up there now in the Ring of Honor. I feel like they're running out of wall space. What are they going to do now? I'm also curious, who do you think deserves the next statue? Should Calvin Johnson get a statue next to Barry Sanders? I feel like they should add more statues over there by Barry Sanders, because that side of the stadium is amazing. It's like my entrance, because there's never a line to get into the door. Gate A is just such a cluster mess. But yeah, I wonder who else should get a statue. They should get, 3 to 4 more statues over there, but who deserves it? Jason Hansen, maybe? Doak Walker, maybe? He played for the Lions, didn't he? Man, I feel like I should have looked that up. A list of Lions greats. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for me. Thanks for listening, everybody. I want to go before this brain turns to mush anymore. I feel like I said everything I needed to say, though. I was really happy with the game last night. It was a lot of fun. We got a bye week now, which I think is horribly early, but it's not like we don't need to bring some guys back up to 100%. So hopefully they get a chance to rest and recharge and be ready to go when we play Dallas, which is guaranteed victory number 2. God, I hope they keep that fire. Remember what it was like. I hope Decker reports or Dan Skipper reports every single play of the offense. It'd be awesome. The hell with you, Dallas. Lions are coming. Just like Seattle always seems to come here to play, we always go to Dallas to play. I would like a little bit more balance on that. I want to see the Cowgirls come here. That's right, I'm talking smack. I don't like the Cowgirls. So with the bye week, I get a week off. But I will be back before the Cowboys game in 2 weeks. And you guys enjoy your week off from my voice, and I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go shower. Bye-bye.